All right, I'm gonna try something a little different on this repair. Obviously, there's something missing right here. I've got the filter and the cover. Those are unharmed. This took a grazing blow. And we have a $230 piece of plastic that doesn't come with a whole lot. So those of you who watch my channel have seen this before. Let me take you in a little closer. And Scott's got a phone number on here, but that number's not any good anymore. And he doesn't have a number posted on OPE forum where he used to post. So I don't know how to get in touch with him anymore. I guess I could email him. Some of his videos may have some contact stuff. He's semi-retired now, but I'm glad I got one of these. You know, these are from McMaster Car, so you can keep your handles out of the way. You know, I've got full rotation this way and this way. So on something like this, because trying to take this handle off, you really need both hands and a helper. There's a couple other ways that this will come in handy, and that's why I'll do one of these. So I'm going to time lapse doing this, and if there's anything worthwhile noting, I'll show you what's up. All right, let's have a look at what we got here and what we got here. So here's what this handle housing assembly doesn't come with. Y'all saw me very beginning, I knocked out the trigger, so that'll have to be put back in. There's a pin and a spring. Obviously there's no cover here. One of the things it doesn't come with is your AV spring. That's easy, that just unscrews and screws back on. This should come with a fuel filter in here. There it is. And it does come, so the 661 has a two-piece fuel line setup. So there's a plastic elbow right here that goes down into the fuel line that you see in the tank. And then there's a short strip of regular fuel line that hooks up to the carburetor. We'll have wiring harnesses to put back and whatnot. This doesn't come with, there's a bracket right here that holds the throttle setup and the choke lever setup. There's locking tabs on this side and on that side. You just need to, you know, pull out on the end of this tab right here, and to put it together you just need to push until it snaps and locks into place. What else? This does not come with an impulse line. The pulse line is right here. We'll get that cleaned up and swapped over. Not too terribly bad. Some of the tank assemblies come pretty stripped, but you know, this is pretty much ready to go. One of the tricky things, we've got your rubber insulator here. It's kind of like a barrier to keep the dust out of the carb box. This will actually, you'll have to feed the wires in and then push it in forward until it kind of, the rubbery part has a lip all the way around right there. And it's got to rest in its little home, and that'll keep this kind of debris out of here. All right, let me do a little assembly here. None of this is hard, it's just part swapping, and then we'll go back on. This buffer right here, I hate these foam buffers that Stihl uses. I'm sure it's great for keeping the vibration off your hands, but man, these things deteriorate so fast. you know, I was picking at it and it just started crumbling. And, you know, it's a must-have right there, because there's a corresponding nub that goes into. So as you crank on the saw, you're not bottoming into anything but this nice squishy disintegrating foam or whatever it is. I did neglect to mention that stripping this down, I looked at the timestamp, that's 10 minutes worth of removal, and I had a couple of hang-ups along the way, but nothing terrible. It'd probably take me a little bit longer than 10 minutes to put it back together. I said I'd talk about some finer points. In order to remove your impulse line from right there, you need to pull on the outside of it and then just lightly depress 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs and just sneak those through. Now, what you don't want to do here is have anything sharp when you're pushing this down. I've showed this before. There's no sharp edges on my screwdriver here. You know, I like this when it's a little longer. It's good for prying, but you do not, because this is your lifeblood to telling the carburetor how fast to go. This is your pulse line. So every time the piston goes up, there's a vacuum. And then when the piston goes down, there's pressure. So thump, 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 thump gives your carburetor the signal to go faster. Okay? So that's why you don't want to hurt that, because if this has a small leak in it, you're not going to run right and possibly burn up your saw. All right, here's how we look put back together. Don't forget, those wires get tucked in here so they don't catch into anything else. The only tricky thing is here, let me get a little bit more light and you can, no, that's too much. So there's your ground. It has to come through here, under here, and fits on that post right there. And then now we're ready to introduce the carburetor to this. You still put the outside ring and the inside ring that actually helps keep the intake boot from collapsing. But you know, you only have this lead right here that goes up, over, and around and reconnects here, and this spade bit right here that connects on that spade. All right, let me pop that in there and we'll get back to it. Okay, so there's your routing for your upper wire. Your ground wire goes here. Make sure you're tucked in and tucked in. And the final thing to do to hook up this throttle cable, and it's kind of hard to show you, but with here, let me put you in the tripod. Maybe we can make this happen. Okay, really no good way to get you in there, but here's what I do. Just make sure your throttle rod is out to the side over here. Use some needle nose, and here's your throttle control. There's a slot right there, and just put it in. But it's really hard on the 660 carburetors. It's the same operation. It's just you really need a little help pulling that down and holding the throttle rod so you can take the rod in and out. That went pretty smooth, I think. Everything's back together. I did have one thing, and I didn't include it in the video. Yeah, I owe you Ian, I'll get you a fresh one of these. I had a spare, but it is gone. That one still functions. It just won't keep the dirt out. On the trigger, when you install the trigger and then put the pin in, there's a little nub to keep this trigger from going down too far. So I halfway put everything together and just checked to make sure I had throttle operation and it wouldn't move. So I had to pop the pin back out and make sure and it's just a little tag of plastic that keeps the trigger from popping out. Other than that, that was pretty smooth. No fuss, no muss. Runs, revs, idles. And we were on to the next one. Thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful.